This is a shelter that weighs tens of thousands of tons. It's built snugly between two giant boulders, entirely crafted from wooden frames and clay. The inside is surprisingly spacious, and the exterior? A real one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Since the last shelter was built by the riverside, cold, damp, and occasionally visited by cute critters, Jimmy had no choice but to start over with his dog. After trekking 5 kilometers, he discovered 2 massive boulders, each weighing hundreds of tons. The gap between them made him feel utterly safe. So he decided right then, this would be home. First order of business, take down a few underachieving trees. If they can't bloom into flowers, they might as well bloom into shelter beams. He chose logs about as thick as his arm, and lined them up on both sides of the rocks. That's how the foundation frame began.
Uneven ground? No problem, just prop it up with extra wood.
Then he tied the logs together to the right size, and laid them neatly one by one, until a solid platform took shape.
Even the dog refused to leave, it's that comfy.
Next he installed 2 upright beams in the back, then used arm-thick logs as wall planks, lining them neatly, one after another. Length planning is key, of course, fitting them snugly against the rock, shorter to taller, upwards.
Once that was done, he drilled a hole at the bottom using his tools.
Then carved a tapered head on the log's end, so it could stand upright as a firm support beam. For the top, he used smaller sticks as crossbeams, each one slanted neatly into place. To get home faster and edit videos, I bought a Tesla from Gwazi Used Cars.
Only cost me 90 grand.
For second-hand electric cars, go to Gwazi. They've got thousands of new energy vehicles this month, straight from individual owners and wholesalers. Same quality cars, but way cheaper.
Miss it, regret it.
Gwazi new energy cars, save big, drive happy. With the sturdy wooden frame ready, building became much easier. Though the bed was a little smaller, it fit one person perfectly fine. As for the front area, he planned a little door for his furry roommate. The delighted dog jumped up for a kiss. Clearly, their friendship's rock solid. Jimmy couldn't resist giving him a treat to calm both their excited hearts. After a hearty meal for both, they got back to unfinished business. He continued stacking the polished wooden sticks upward, then laid out a large waterproof tarp to cover the roof and keep things warm too. 2 birds, 1 tarp. To move in before snowfall, he first laid a soft bedding layer on the ground, then drilled new holes near the base. With another pillar in place, he could now mark out the door area. Though his toolkit was small, his experience more than made up for it. With a proper frame, he lined thin sticks evenly, nice and tight together. Voila, a solid, sturdy door. So tough, even a bear would think twice before knocking. You could tell Jimmy was proud of his creation. He went off to find some fine yellow clay and harvested a bunch of dried straw along the way. He mixed the two together, then added a splash of life's purest liquid, water, activating that inner alchemy. The clay turned satisfyingly squishy. Next, he prepped the molds, stuffing them full of that sticky goodness. Each brick was pressed tight and united in purpose.
And then he repeated the process dozens of times.
Not a speck of clay went to waste. He plastered the gaps around the doorway too, so no sneaky drafts could sneak in. Then he covered the dog's little crawl hole, which was originally meant as the pup's private door. But since it was freezing cold, he repurposed it, turned it into the perfect fireplace opening. After all, you can't survive winter without a fire. Ever the perfectionist, Jimmy gave it a full finish, the fireplace sealed tighter than a pickle jar. As always, he lit a warm blaze for winter. Smoke rose gently from the chimney, and Jimmy chopped some more small logs. Climbing up and down wasn't easy, so he decided to build a wooden ladder. He chiseled notches at both ends of the sticks and fitted planks snugly between them, and nailed the top for extra stability. Once the ladder was done, he borrowed some lush green moss from nearby rocks. In autumn and winter, moss grows wild and thick. Jimmy gathered a full bag without hesitation, and spread it evenly across the entire roof. You've got to hand it to Jimmy's clever creativity. He fully utilized the gap between rock and ground, turning the shelter's safety factor up to max. Then, using his worn-out clothes, he stretched them between 4 wooden poles, creating a makeshift sieve. Next, he crushed yellow earth and mixed it with water. Not gonna lie, this trick filtered out some impressively fine mud.
The only downside, say goodbye to that t-shirt.
While waiting, he grabbed his tools, found a log as thick as his arm, trimmed off all its branches, and turned it into a bridge between shelter and ground. Only the dog's den below looked a little plain, so the boss decided to give it a makeover. He cut open an old plastic bottle and turned it into a swinging doggy curtain, then filled the open space with wooden sticks, and added a layer of fresh clay. Finally, he sealed the upper wall perfectly. You could tell the pup was genuinely touched. To make the shelter even more aesthetic, he stuffed more moss into every gap. That made the whole place warm and cozy. As usual, he marked his house number proudly, then cut several thin sticks and assembled them into a neat, square frame. That way, he could leave a little doggy tunnel inside, so his furry friend could move freely. Then he coated the fireplace interior with fine clay, not just for cooking, but also for heating during cold nights. 2 functions, 1 stone, smart move. Soon the filtered clay mix was ready, and after the dog tested the saltiness, yes, really, Jimmy scooped up the smooth mud. This new batch was silky like condensed milk. He shaped it into round little balls and baked them over an open fire.
Once they hardened completely, he stacked them neatly on the stove. At first, you'd think he was just playing, but nope, he was building a chimney, and honestly, it looked pretty stylish.
He even stacked it higher than the roof. Not very big, but full of ceremony. And just like that, his rock-hidden little home was complete. Overjoyed, Jimmy cooked himself a feast, a well-deserved celebration, and shared some with his downstairs buddy. From then on, Jimmy had yet another home in the wild.
Autumn, a season of harvest.
Yet Jimmy was still wandering with his dog. He found a fallen century-old tree, its trunk so thick it screamed safe haven. So naturally, he decided to move in. First thing, he pulled out his 18 survival tools like a pro and chopped down a few more underperforming trees. If they can't grow tall, they can at least help build a roof. Soon, he had a pile of fresh logs ready. Using the fallen tree as a main support, he began building upward. He inserted tapered logs into pre-cut notches, forming a sturdy inner-to-outer pillar, then topped it with a main crossbeam. On the other side, angled sticks formed supports, creating a stable triangular frame. Jimmy tested it, 180 pounds, no problem. He was satisfied. Then he grabbed a large waterproof tarp and covered the whole roof with it, secured it firmly with wooden logs, then fetched some fresh green moss to fill every gap and seal the roof tight. That extra layer meant extra warmth.
As for the front area, Jimmy added 1 more wooden beam, just to make sure nothing would collapse.
Because A, safety first, even in the woods. After checking everything twice, he gathered piles of straw from the fields. He bundled them tightly together, making one big woven layer. It added insulation and another layer of roof protection. Even the dog looked genuinely impressed. But for a permanent home, he still needed a sturdy front frame. Not for looks, just so he could enjoy a cozy firepot when winter hit. By the time he finished talking, the framework was already done. But to truly shine in this position, he needed fire resistance. So naturally, he whipped up some homemade clay. With the power of the strongest wilderness concrete, his whole setup got a full upgrade. Now it looked brand new and professional. You could tell the man had an engineering degree. The design looked solid and bold, but for a civil engineering graduate like Jimmy, this was still below his design standards. So he headed to the nearby riverbank to collect some pebbles.
After all, those were the best natural building materials.
In his eyes, only a combo of stone and wood makes perfection. That's the mark of a true wilderness architect. Focused and patient, Jimmy worked non-stop, soon building a magnificent fireplace. As always, he lit it up with dry firewood. A quick bake to harden the clay. Smoke rose softly through the chimney again. Then Jimmy went out to gather wild berries. Blueberries everywhere, just grab a handful.
As the saying goes, live by the mountain, eat from the mountain. Jimmy was clearly living that motto.
Besides, with his loyal dog beside him, every moment felt peaceful. Far from the city's noise and pollution, his stress just melted away. He could finally feel the beauty and spirit of nature itself. As the smell of smoke filled the air, Jimmy enjoyed a steaming hot meal. Of course, he didn't forget his old pal either.
After loading up on calories, Jimmy jumped right back to work.
He grabbed a log, smooth and hefty, and carved a groove down its center. That groove would mark the positions for doors and windows, and with his skillful, confident hands, you'd think he'd spent a decade at a construction site. His movements were so smooth it was almost poetic. You could see the pride in Jimmy's face. Next he found some fresh, flexible reeds and strung them together with rope.
Voila, a little window screen, nature edition.
Using what's around him to the fullest. That's Jimmy's ultimate wilderness philosophy. Once the window was done, he balanced things out by building a matching door frame, then filled in the gaps with more wooden sticks. For the door itself, Jimmy used the same type of material, sturdy and flexible. The perfect balance between strength and comfort. An ideal choice for a handmade wooden door.
Uneven surface? No problem.
A smooth coat of clay fixed everything. Then he found some discarded red bricks, those kiln-fired ones that are tough as nails. They also helped trap heat inside. In the wilderness, using bricks like this was pure luxury. Safety rating, 5 stars, no question. From the front, it finally looked like a real home. As the weather turned colder, the next day he dug a pit nearby, planning to build an underground shelter. Cool in summer, warm in winter, a true one-bedroom wilderness suite. To move in faster, Jimmy went with a flat roof design. Simple, practical, efficient, and so much easier to build. Just a few neatly aligned logs, a thick waterproof sheet on top, and a layer of yellow soil for good measure. Once everything was spread evenly, he pieced together a simple wooden mold, then mixed straw and clay to boost the soil's tensile strength. A perfect combo for solid mud bricks. After drying overnight, they were ready to become sturdy walls. Talk about productivity, lad. This man's efficiency was off the charts. Smooth, steady, and flawless. Grandpa would have been proud. Even I can't help but applaud. Considering how hidden it was, he decided to decorate the surroundings too, blending the shelter perfectly into nature. Though the interior was a bit tight, the straw bedding made it quite cozy. Recording in the wilderness felt downright blissful. Now this underground shelter was so well hidden, no one would spot it. And one last thing, yes, Gwazi Used Cars is legit.